we've all been waiting for, with 2 big football games on Saturday and the Thunder officially tipping off, in the preseason at least. Real games, real uniform, and now some real-time analysis live on the press row. From the Dodge Sports Desk at the Old Pubco Studios, I'm Mike Sherman, and welcome to the Press Row Live. Joining me today are Deputy Sports Editor Mike Kaler, who will relive the Thunder's debut in Montana. Columnist Jenny Carlson, who will look at whether OSU's up to the task of winning at Missouri. And columnist John Rohde, who will tell you what OU has to do to win in the Cotton Bowl. John, let's start with the Red River rivalry. One of the biggest matchups in years. But what's going to make the difference between winner and loser in this game this year?
Well, I think you're asking what they have to do to win. I think they just need to show up and play like they're capable of playing. I guess that can be said every year. But, when you look at the defensive secondary of Texas, their safeties, their starting safeties are freshmen. Their backups are freshmen. Their backups are freshmen. I see a hole. I see a hole. And from what we've seen so far of OU, they can do as they please when they pass the ball. I see OU convincingly, unless there's a bunch of turnovers.
Jenny, when people hear show up, though, or hear John say show up, they think just show up.
Yeah.
Is it a just show up game?
Well, I think Texas is better this year than they were last year. I guess we'll find out for sure on Saturday. But I think the biggest key, and I did a video earlier today about this, is the offensive line. OU's offensive line is just so darn good. And I'm not ready to buy in yet that Texas is going to be able to get pressure on Sam Bradford. They're going to have to bring pressure, I think, from different places in different ways. And Bradford's so smart, he picks that stuff up, and he'll hurt you on the short stuff, the quick stuff. So then what do? Do you let your defensive line try to pressure him? I just don't think they're going to be able to get much pressure by themselves. If he can sit back there and pick apart that defense, I think he will.
The defense for Texas, however, is supposed to be a lot better. Will Muschamp, I hear him talk like this is the Mike Stoops of Texas, a guy who'll run out to the hash marks and really get his guys whipped up and ready to play defense. Is that going to make any difference?
We've talked about this time and again all through the season. Who do you not cover for OU's offense? I mean, Sam has 5, 6, 7 legitimate guys who've all scored touchdowns this year. Manny Johnson has a great game one week. Iglesias has a good game one week, and you're not even starting to talk about Jermaine Gresham and some of those other guys. So I think even if they make the mistake and stack up the middle like TCU did, Sam's going to pick them apart, just like Jenny said.
John, offensively, Texas's running game is not all that strong.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy is playing well. A lot of his most effective stuff is when he's got the ball and sort of out on a corner. How do you break down Texas's offense versus OU's defense?
Well, if Colt McCoy's he's their leading rusher, I assume that's not deliberately. That's just by happenstance, because if he's their version of Vince Young, they're not going to survive this season. He is stronger. He's 15 pounds heavier, bench pressing 100 pounds more. He is a stud at quarterback. But there are 10 other guys out there, and usually come Texas time, we can name their top 3 running backs.
Right.
They don't even know who their top 3 running backs are. This is a different look for Texas.
I will say this, though, about their offense. I think their offensive line is better. I mean, they had guys that they were just trying to survive last year with their offensive line. So I do think that Colt McCoy has more time. He's not getting sacked or pressured as much as he was. But still, you're talking now about a huge step up in the defensive pressure. Look at who OU's going to bring. They're going to bring Gerald McCoy. They're going to bring Austin English. They're going to bring guys that are at a whole other level than the opponents that Texas has had so far. So that offensive line, though better, is definitely going to get tested by this OU defense.
The latest on DeMarcus Granger is?
He'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be there.
I think he'll play if needed. I think I don't know, but
he wasn't going to be a defining factor
No.
before. I think he'd be great for the Sooners to have him back, but I don't see him as determining things.
Ask
OU
the University of Washington's football team whether DeMarcus Granger's defining factor. He was a defining factor in that game in lots of ways. I really think that Gerald McCoy becomes, he's a great force. But I think when it's the two of them, it's really murder for a team to block.
Well, going back to the Washington game, if I'm Jake Locker, I'm calling Colt McCoy this week, and I'm telling him to update his insurance policy for crying out loud.
Yeah.
If he's their leading rusher, the Texas is not going to win. He's going to get killed. That's one of the things. We had a chat today with Barry and one of the guys from Austin, and that's what they said. If Colt McCoy is the leading rusher, then they're in big trouble.
Guys, let's go on to OSU. Jenny, you're headed down to up to Columbia for the OSU game against Missouri. OSU's a 2-touchdown underdog. Now, Can they pull this off?
Well, I think there's a possibility. I think their offense gives them a chance. Missouri brings back 10 of 11 guys off their defense from last year, but it wasn't a stellar defense a year ago. I think OSU's offense does give them a chance, and I think if they can keep it within 10 points going into the fourth quarter, I think anything can happen. You know, Missouri can turn the ball over, OSU can hit a couple big plays, but they got to stay close. And Missouri has that ability to get out on you quick, to be up 14-0, 21-0 before you even have a chance to blink. So the defense has to do some work, try to slow them down a little bit. But you know, it's going to take the offense really clicking on all cylinders. I think they have a chance. Do they have a chance? Yes. Will they win? I don't think so.
John, nobody on our staff picked OSU to win.
We're smart people. But here's the thing. She says keep it within 10 in the fourth quarter. I hope they keep it within 10 in the first quarter. I mean, this team just explodes on you. Both teams do. But I think the crowd, it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere down there.
I agree.
Everybody's going to be on the hill. It's been sold out for weeks. You know, sure, we always talk about when offense plays offense, oh, it's a shootout. And oftentimes it's not a shootout. It's in the 20s. There is no part of my being that thinks this game will be in the 20s or even the 30s.
By one team in the 20s, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Either team.
Chase Daniel has not had a 3-and-out this season. Say that again.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't compute.
That's one of the most amazing things I've ever heard this deep into a season.
And
It
this
really
is, and he's going against an OSU team, the defense that is improved, but last year they gave up more first downs than any team in the Big 12. That stat just kind of hangs with you. What kind of pressure does that put on the Oklahoma State offense, and can it afford to do some of the things it does best, which is pound the football?
Yeah, their best defense is their offense. Just time-consuming drives. Well, I believe they lead the league in time of possession. They have a terrific running game. I'm not convinced about Missouri's defense. I know nothing about it, and yet I believe more in its defense than OSU's defense. But I don't know what the right answer here. I don't know how you have damage control against Missouri. They are just that good.
I think for as high-flying as those offenses are, I think if OSU runs the ball, I think that gives it a better chance than if it tries to throw it to Des Bryant every other. I mean, they have to give it to Kendall Hunter a bunch.
That's the one place where they have the edge over Missouri is those running backs and how deep they can go with those running backs. But you know, they're going to have to do something like they did last week against Texas A&M, which is get a bunch of turnovers early, get some momentum going. I mean, but that was Texas A&M, and Missouri is light years ahead of those guys.
Usually you can give the special teams advantage to OSU because they are incredible. Yeah. You can't do that this week. They got Jeremy Macklin on the other end of the field.
Jeremy Macklin, by the way, has mad skills in NCAA 09. My son just runs for a touchdown every time he gets. And I talk about him. I can't defend him. All right. Here's another thing about OSU in that game, though, and let's apply a little bit of the NFL to it. You watch NFL games, and teams get behind, maybe first quarter, second half. They're maybe 2 scores behind, but they come out and run it. They stay patient with the run. How long can OSU stay patient and run the ball? I mean, how far you said they get down 10-0 in the first quarter? Is that when, time to start throwing? Or is the thing for OSU to do is go and find out if that Missouri Tiger defense can really hold teams to 2.2 yards per carry?
Well, the longer you run it, the longer you're able to run it, the far better your chances. There's no debate about that.
Yeah, and I think OSU's offensive line isn't talked about much with this offense, but it's a pretty good offense. I feel like I'm beating the offensive line drum today. But they really do have a good offensive line. I think that was one of the things last year that I think was most steadily consistent and decent for them. And I think they really do have a good offensive line. This is going to be a really interesting test for play calling. Do they get panicked? Do they panic? Do they start to try to throw it around and then have unforced turnovers or errors? So it'll be interesting to see if they do get behind, what's the play calling look like, or do they stick with a really strong running game and really try to pound it down the field?
All right, question. Who's got a better chance of winning this weekend, Texas or Oklahoma State? Mike, I'm starting with you.
Gee whiz, I'd say the Longhorns. I think either one of them is a long shot, but I'd say Texas.
Jenny.
Yeah, I'll go with Texas too. I think. Now, did you say who has the better chance?
Better chance of winning Saturday, Texas or Oklahoma State?
I think Oklahoma State has a better chance of winning on Saturday. I'll go with Mike that it's going to be hard for either one of them, but I think having the offense that OSU has, I think they might have a better shot.
John?
No, it's Texas. It's definitely similar athletes as OU, neutral site. At least they got 40,000 fans pulling for him. I don't know how many fans be pulling for OSU and Columbia.
I thought of this before you started talking about all those freshman DBs. I think it now. I think Oklahoma State's got a better chance. I think the play calling's key, confidence in the running game. I think Oklahoma State, believe it or not, has a better idea of what it is right now than Texas does. I say Oklahoma State's got a better chance. Not that they'll win, but they have a better chance. Mike, next topic. You watched the Thunder's game, the preseason game last night from Billings, Montana. What were your first impressions?
One, good seats still available in Billings. Not much going on.
Hey, we used to be, and listen,
listen, the preseason.
We used to be that city.
We were never
when we had an
Montana,
exhibition
come
game,
on.
we filled it up, and I think people need to learn how to clap in Montana. Another thing, it looked like Russell Westbrook had a pretty steady hand there at the beginning. It kind of fell apart later on, but I think I still like him over Earl Watson, if that's the hot debate these days. The other thing, Chris Wilcox, I think he's going to be tremendous.
I'm for that. John, what did you think?
Fearless Earl. Here's the deal. They played a really bad team, and they lost to a really bad team, and it's preseason, so make of it what you will. You say, it's preseason, doesn't matter. But then you say they can't even beat Minnesota, so maybe it does matter. 49 turnovers. That's what, it was hard on the eyes. The three things we thought of before they even tipped off are still there. Patience, patience, patience. It's going to be a very long season, I think.
I will say this: I like the defensive numbers that the Thunder that they were able to afford. I think Minnesota shot 37% from the floor and 25 turnovers. Now, how much of that was the Thunder and how much of that was the Timberwolves is up for debate. But that's an area where they really felt like they needed to improve was defensively, and it looks like that at least one game and one bad opponent. Maybe that is an area where we've seen some improvement. And remember, too, there's not going to be many regular season games this year where Kevin Durant only has 10, 12 points. That's a pretty bad night for him.
Shots.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say the thing that impressed me is one, the road uniforms. I'm on record as saying the roads are the better of the two uniforms. I really like them. First of all, they look
You're not going out with Linda Miller anytime soon.
Well, no.
Lord, man.
Hey, listen, the New York Knicks road uniforms are some of the best blues in any sports. Name me one team that's got blue as its base color that has bad uniforms. I don't think you can. So it's a really, really nice look. I even like the double-decker Oklahoma City headline. And I'll tell you why. They're flying the flag. The people of Oklahoma City are the ones who, are going to pay the taxes to improve the Ford Center. They brought the team here with their support of it. Don't go OKC. Listen, a lot of people in the NBA, unfortunately, are going to see OKC and say, now, what city is that?
Well, they're dumb people if they don't know.
Well, all I'm saying is
they don't want to watch
PHX,
yeah, well, not so much, really.
I mean, they might as well put Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73120 on there. Goodness gracious.
I like the look.
Quadruple header for
Hey, I'm an Orioles fan, as you well know. And so when the Orioles went away from wearing Baltimore across the jersey and on road games, everybody in Baltimore was offended, and they were trying to play to the Washington, D.C. market. Now they're coming back with Baltimore. Hey, where are you from? Say it loud. Oklahoma City does that. Love the uniforms.
You're from last place if you're with the
Baltimore, it only has 9 letters there.
You're an Orioles fan, too.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the other point. Russell Westbrook, I thought he was dynamite. There's going to be rookie mistakes. Chris Paul, the deity known as Chris Paul, made rookie mistakes. He did. Now, I'm not comparing these two guys other than they both were point guards, both fourth-round picks, both broke in Oklahoma City. That's a lot of comparisons. But I'll say this. If this team wants to play fast, they'll play better. Playing fast, they don't have much in the half-court set. And I don't think...
They don't have a center.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. It's hard.
And they may not for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the centers they do have, even when they come back.
Questionable at best.
Well, it's hard to do what they want to do in the half-court set. But if they get out in transition, the rookie looks better in transition. His mistakes are smoothed over somewhat by that. And they got a lot of easy baskets when he's just stealing the ball or taking it to the hoop and getting fouled. Good look there. Chris Wilcox was the most active player that we saw last night. And one thing is going to be interesting to see is just how deep on his bench PJ is going to go. I saw a lot of good players. I'm not saying great. Kevin Durant's the great player of the future, but I saw a lot of good last night. I saw a lot of people who can contribute. They got to figure out the post game, though, John, don't you think?
Well, yeah, they have 3 7-footers, and mathematically, you wouldn't think that'd be possible to have 3 7-footers and no center, but they pulled it off. And I mean, their closest thing to a center is a forward, Nick Collison.
Right.
And
So-
even
Maybe
if
if they all stand on each other's shoulders, they would.
even if those 3 7-footers are healthy, it's not like
No.
any of them become the runaway for sure guy that you would put at center.
I
Now,
have not heard one person say, "Well, just wait till Robert Swift is healthy."
You just did.
I didn't mean it though.
They're going to pull that quote out.
Well, here's what I also think is possible. I think Johan Petro, though, out of the 3, I mean, of course, he's the only one healthy, but he had some moments last night. You mentioned Nick Collison, though. Hey, every team needs a guy who can do a lot of things well. He made a couple alley-oop passes from the elbow. If he can nail that shot from the elbow, and he's just a heady player. People who watched him in the Big 12 know the guy doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He guards you. I mean, late in the game when they're trying to get back in it, he's still guarding people in Billings, Montana in the preseason opener. You got to like that. And the last thing came in is, don't bag too much on Billings, Montana. I mean, come on. I'm telling you, we used to be that town, that place where the NBA sent one little preseason game and patted you on the head and said, here, I hope you liked it. The only difference is we had ours at the Ford Center instead of State Fair Arena.
Exactly. There was a horse show was waiting to come on after the game was over.
Okay, around the horn real quick, guys. OU's #1, OSU's unbeaten, Tulsa's unbeaten, and the Thunder is in action. Is it time that we reevaluate a little bit of what's most important to Oklahoma fans now? Okay, man?
OU football's still the steak that has the most sizzle. So I think on Saturday at 11 o'clock, go to Walmart Saturday at 11 o'clock, and you won't have a line at the checkout counter. That's how you measure what the deal is. I still think, as far as one single day goes, when that game opens on the Ford Center at the end of this month, that's going to be the day. But Saturday is a close second.
you know what? I think we might not have as much of a passion for the Thunder exhibition games because we've already done this. I mean, if this was really our first foray into NBA ball, we might be more excited.
Well, they only have one in the Ford Center,
Right.
one in Tulsa. So
Yeah, I mean, the exhibition season, we kind of did this with the Hornets, and so it's kind of like, okay, we get it. We know it's because when we had that exhibition opener here the first time when the Hornets were here,
That was crazy.
and guys on the other team are like, dude, it's an exhibition.
Carmelo.
We don't have that sort of exhibition excitement anymore. So I agree. Go to Walmart, but go to the TV area. I bet there'll be a standing room only crowd watching that
John,
game.
what about the pecking order?
Oh, I mean, what are the 10 most viewed stories? OU notebook, OU side notebook, OU future notebook, OU kickoff, OU radio broadcast. I bet the Thunder's not in the top 25. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
The straw that stirs the drink, as Reggie Jackson called it, and also came in.
And the obits.
And also the thing about OU football is nothing is bigger than OU Texas and OU OSU, and in some ways Saturday is Bedlam Nirvana. I mean, you have a big game at 11, then you can enjoy what you enjoy, and then rest up a little bit, and then 7 o'clock, the big OSU Missouri game. We got a lot to look forward to. That does it for this edition of the Press Row Live from the Dodge Sports Desk. Be sure to follow all of these stories with blogs, videos, and so much more on newsok.com, newsok.tv, and every day in the new look Oklahoman.